Ow, that hurt. Hey, you guys, I'm back. As I went live before, I told you guys today I would actually be promoting the USA Fibroid Awareness event that's happening July 27th. That's a Thursday in New York City next month. And I spoke about it a little bit in the previous live, but I need to get through this topic first, far as the topic that I'm going to talk about today. And the topic is fibroids causing infertility. So I wanted to get someone on here to kind of explain a little in detail on how that happens and, you know, why it's preventing women from having children, fibroids. So I got a friend of mine, my girl Shannon. She should be on here. Let's see. Shannon, if you're here, say hi. I think that's you right there. Sorry. I think there you go. So we're going to get Shannon on here, and she can pretty much kind of give you details. Now let's see if she answers. This is my girl Shannon. She's actually been on here before, by the way.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, friend. I'm good. How are you?
To go grab some lunch because I'm starving. So, but it'll wait in the bag until we're done here.
We'll be quick, I swear. So, my topic today is infertility causing, fibroid causing infertility, and I wanted to just tap in a little bit on why. Can you just give me a little details on?
I'm going to show. We're going to do a quick anatomy lesson. You know, I like my anatomy, right? Quick anatomy lesson. All right, here we go. Let's see if this works.
Let's do it.
I'm in my car, so here we go. So this is a representation of a normal uterus, tubes, ovaries, and vagina with no fibroids. So here we have the vagina. This area is the cervix. This would be the internal opening of the cervix that would be closest to a fetus if this uterus was pregnant. This is the external opening of the cervix, which when we check someone's cervix when they're pregnant, that's the first opening we get to. Then you have the uterine cavity, and this line of cells there is the endometrial lining. That's what sheds every month during a menstrual cycle. This is the wall of the uterus that's composed of smooth muscle, and then obviously the fallopian tubes and the ovaries. Now, just as a reminder, in our real bodies and in real life, as we like to say, it doesn't look like this. The fallopian tubes and the ovaries are tucked behind the uterus. They're not off out to the side. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Now, this is a representation of where fibroids can be. Most fibroids can either be right underneath the outside of the uterus, which is called the serosa. They could be within the wall of the uterus. They can be submucosal, which means they're right underneath that endometrial lining. They could also be pedunculated, meaning they're on a little stalk, and they can hang into the uterine cavity. They could actually prolapse through the cervix and into the vagina. But these are the most common locations for fibroids. So when you think about how fibroids can affect fertility, the most common reason would be more of a mechanical obstruction. When you think about intercourse, someone is having intercourse, the sperm are deposited. They have to go through the vagina into the cervix and then into the uterine cavity, out the fallopian tubes. Now, if you happen to have a big fibroid that's obstructing the opening where it goes into the uterine, the fallopian tubes, if you happen to have a big fibroid that's obstructing the cervical canal and not allowing it to be open, if you have a submucosal fibroid that's big enough that it's distorting the lining of the uterine cavity or impinging or starting to press into the uterine cavity, all of those things can affect the ability of the sperm and the egg to join. Not only that, if the sperm and egg are able to join, and you have a big fibroid that's underneath the lining of the uterus, the endometrium, and the embryo happens to start to implant there, it may not be able to because that's not getting a good blood supply, and that could lead to miscarriage. Okay. Another thing you think about, mechanical, of course, you know, the fibroids get big enough and they're in a certain location that it mechanically obstructs the ability of the sperm to reach the egg. But then you think about also, if they're big fibroids, now I've seen some big fibroids. They could be in the wall, they could be in the cervix, they could be anywhere, but if they're big enough, they require blood supply. A pregnancy requires blood supply. So if it's big enough that those fibroids, or sometimes even a fibroid, is sucking all that blood supply away from the uterus, then we can't appropriately supply developing pregnancy with blood, right? Also think about, and I'm sure you know this, when you have a fibroid uterus, what are your menstrual cycles like? They can be all over the place. They can be heavy. They can be painful. You could bleed.
Heavy, pop up whenever it wants.
So, people with fibroids, and sometimes it's not always the size, it's the location. And you can have irregular or heavy menstrual cycles because they are really big, or you can have heavy irregular menstrual cycles because they're located right, those submucosal ones underneath the lining of the uterus. If you're not able to have regular monthly menstrual cycles of a normal duration, how are you going to be able to get pregnant? Now, you still might be able to, but it's going to make it a little bit harder. So those are just the main reasons why having a fibroid uterus can potentially affect your fertility or your ability to get pregnant.
Well, you definitely taught me something else, because I have fibroids now.
Okay.
I found out when I was pregnant, of course, but it's not as heavy as my first time. It was like a faucet. It was disrespectful. But this time is totally different from before. But you just were explaining the location can determine how
painful, and
so
the pain level too. The location can also cause cause painful intercourse. And when you're having painful intercourse, people don't want to do that because it hurts. So that can also affect someone's ability to conceive. So there's multiple ways that having fibroids in your uterus can affect your ability to become pregnant.
We need to find a cure. This is ridiculous. But you're one of my favorites. Thank you for that detailed description, because you helped me have a better understanding, and I was able to learn more about the location of the fibroids and knowing why my menstrual cycles are different from the last time I had my fibroids versus this time. So thank you. You're my girl. Thank you for that understanding.
I'll always drop everything for you, so we're good. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon.
You have a great day.
Bye-bye.
And go eat your food. All right. Bye.